Hey, welcome to another episode of Heroes and Videos. I love going to the local comic shop for new books every week, but I also love picking up back issues too, looking through those bins for back issue gems. I know you love going to the comic shop also. This video, we're going to be looking at books I've been picking up this summer at the local comic shop. If you stick around to the end of the video, we will find out the secret of what actually happened to Nick Fury, why he needed that eye patch. I happened to uncover a book, a Marvel comic that tells us what was going on. Is it better or worse than the MCU's answer to how Nick Fury needed that eye patch? Stick around to the end of the video to find out. Enjoy the video, please hit the like button. Honestly, hit the like button even if you're just on the fence about it. But let's get right into it. First up, we have Batman 219. Batman 219, just a great Neil Adams cover. Also love that old logo. Harkens me back to like the TV series. It is a picture of Batman getting pushed out of a plane there. Just a great Neil Adams cover. Always just so vivid, so striking, so that realistic look. I guess it's good that he got pushed out after the jet engines there instead of in front of him. You'll notice some Neil Adams representation behind me here in terms of the covers on the wall. Another Neil Adams one, Batman 230, so a little over a year after that. Again, very striking black cover with Batman hovering over the city there, symbolically. And then I don't know if it's a controversial cover. I think one of the reasons it is a big cover is the Black Power, the folks in the front there, very much part of the time, back here at 15th Center. And then this is Batman with Robin the Teen Wonder. It's a time period where Robin was a teen. Dick Grayson, Robin, easily my favorite DC character. I came into reading books about the time he was a teenager, when he was, this was a cool kid. I was 8 or 10 years old, and Robin at that time was in college and riding a motorcycle. Just a character you'd look up to. Robin was very cool. Another Batman, Brave and the Bold 96, with Sergeant Rock. Of course, Batman getting shot there, presumably by Rock. I'm sure the inside we'll find out just what that's all about. This isn't my favorite Batman Sergeant Rock team up. We will do another video about that at some point. There's a very meta issue of Brave and the Bold with Batman and Sergeant Rock, and I won't say more about that, but I'll end up doing a video of it because it's one of the more bizarre books you'll ever read. I just love it. It's a fantastic book. Next up, keeping with the Batman Neil Adams theme, we've got Detective Comics 408. Detective Comics with Batman and Batgirl. She's the backup, but Don Heck, I think, did most of those. I love this cover. A multi-panel cover, which is interesting. We've got Robin literally turning to dust in front of Batman. Curious side note, semi-obsession for me. You'll notice another cover here behind me on the wall, or that representation of an old Batman cover with Ra's al Ghul with Robin getting shot. Even though he's my favorite character in all of DC, for some reason I have a strange curiosity in picking up Robin death covers. So this was another one where he's just, and I'm going to do a whole video series, a whole video on that. I have a lot of those books where Robin doesn't. Things don't work out so well for the boy wonder. Still following through with that Neil Adams theme, Green Lantern, Green Arrow number 86. This is the issue after the famous drug cover. This picks up right at the end of that issue, Hal and Oliver find Speedy shooting up. And heroin's bad. Don't use heroin. That's your public service announcement here. Hopefully you won't need a comic book to tell you that, but bad. Drugs are bad. But this great cover. This book isn't quite as famous as the other one, and Green Arrow's reaction to Speedy needing his help is less, does not age well. I had to pick that up because it was such a great looking book. this must be Neil Adams week. Superboy 175, another great Adams cover. Superboy is kind of a scarecrow there with his soul coming out of him, and it kind of looks like a little bit of a skin suit sort of left behind. So kind of a creepy cover. Had to pick that one up. The next is, it must also be Dick Grayson week. Teen Titans number 30. This is part of one of my favorite runs of all time. The Teen Titans books, after, I want to say around issue 14 or 15 of the book, it got a little bit more serious. I didn't buy these first run. I picked them up as back issues like this one. I'm trying to finish out a complete run, but just really, really kind of dark stuff. Those Hawk and Dove issues. And the covers are phenomenal. That's a whole nother video. I know I keep promising you guys video. At some point I'll get that out too, because those covers were just mind blowing. A number of them. This one's kind of creepy, but yeah. And I also love the way they put the heroes on the side there. Robin, Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, and Speedy, and of course Aqualad in the big shot there. So Teen Titans 30. One more DC on this list before we dive into some Marvel. DC Special number 5. What drew my attention to this was The Secret Lives of Joe Kubert. Joe Kubert, for you kids at home, is the father of Andy and Adam, and he's just a legend at DC with the war books and a lot of the stuff he did. This I thought was interesting. So it's not quite what I thought. It was only like $1, but it's a collection of a number of books or a number of comics, a number of comics that he drew. There's also a really interesting 2-page spread in here where he's recreating drawings of heroes that he co-created, but he's trying to do it in the style at the time. So this book would have been out, what is it? It doesn't have a price on it. Oh, 25 cents. But it's a double-sized book, so regular books were probably 15 cents at the time. So that puts it probably mid to late 60s, maybe early 70s. And what's interesting, though, is some of these characters he co-created. Hawkman, Wildcat, a number of those characters are on this cover, but it's kind of cool because it gives you a little insight into he's trying to draw it in the style he would have used, say, back in the 40s or 50s when he first created them. So guy is a legend, and I thought that was an interesting pickup. Now we've got a few Marvel here. Conan the Barbarian. I was a big Conan fan as a kid. Read a lot of those books as well as John Carter, his paperbacks. The John Buscema run on this book gets, with Roy Thomas, I think gets most of the love. The old Barry Windsor Smith art on the first dozen or 2 dozen issues of this book is just incredible. This is a cover I've just always loved and wanted to have this book. So I picked it up. Inside, some really psychedelic stuff. It gives Ditko and Doctor Strange a run for the money. The coloring is just phenomenal. Just a really good book, and I think it's based on one of the Conan books as well. Which those books seem to do well when they reference the source material. Here's another one. This is that month that Marvel went big. To kind of either spite or blink or fade on DC. They raised the price of their books from 15 cents to 25 cents and doubled the page count. And then I think immediately the month after they went back to the lower page count, maybe even 20 cent again. And DC, I think, was stuck doing the 100 pages for a while. I think. I have to look that, historians may disagree on that point. So this is Conan number 10, Beware the Wrath of the Bull God. There's a Call of the Conqueror short in it, which is really one of those stories where it's verse. It might actually be a poem or a story, but it's got some beautiful art with it set to it. I want to say by maybe Marie Severin. The next up is a book, Fear number 3. Shout out to Mon Comics. Brandon, I caught a video of his recently, and he, great channel. You should check it out, by the way. That's Mon Comics, M-O-N. He mentioned in there he was into these old monster books and whatnot. Now, I picked this up earlier in the summer. where before seeing the video, but it made me think of that seeing your video. And it's Fear number 3. This is the book that eventually became Adventure into Fear, with the first appearance of Howard the Duck. And Adventure, I guess Morbius was in it from 20 to 30, I think, something like that. But this is one of those double-size 25 centers. It's made up pretty much of all monster books or stories from back in the 50s. They're almost all Steve Ditko, with the exception of there's a Jack Kirby story towards the back of it. But it's just phenomenal big monster books. Zootac, the thing that shouldn't exist, which crazy byline. So that's Fear number 3. Finally, Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 89. Now you guys were wondering, I mentioned at the top of the video Nick Fury's eye patch, right? I saw this. Besides the fact it's Nick's fighting Nazis, which everybody should fight Nazis. That's a laudable thing. But who could resist? I had to pick this up. At last, the origin of Fury's eye patch. And if you were wondering, it's weird. Spoilers. So spoilers for 50-plus-year-old comic. If you don't want to know how in canon in Marvel Comics Fury gets his eye patch, click over to one of my other videos. Go check out Mon Comics. Go check out Lunch Money Comics, Bronze and Modern Gods, any number of other channels. Go see Superman. Go see Fantastic Four. I got them represented over here in the corner. But whatever you do, don't stick around if you don't want to know. I'm telling you. But here we go. Spoilers from here on out. In the story, Nick, a grenade goes off. And Fury's hurt, his eye's hurt. He's wearing this patch, this bandage for the rest of the issue after the grenade goes off. And doctors are working on him, trying to fix him. Little background here. This story, even though it came out in the 60s, Nick Fury, this takes place obviously back in World War II. So Marvel was putting these out in the 60s, but Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., was appearing in Strange Tales in present day, and they were telling his backstory. It gave him a chance, kind of like the Invaders book with Roy Thomas in the 70s, gave him a chance to tell some stories about Nick Fury back in World War II. So the doctors are working on Nick after his eye gets hurt, and he's in this bandage for the rest of the issue. At the end, after the doctors operate on him, they come back and say, he can take the patch off. His eye's going to be fine for a while, but the damage was done. The damage is irreversible. He's not going to lose the use of the eye now, but he will at some point. And at some point, what we've done is just going to wear out, and we can only do so much. At some point, his eye will fail him. And then there's even a footnote that says, we know, dear readers, that won't happen until 1963. It literally says that. This is before sliding timeline and all that. So the end result is it's a way for in canon for them to show, here's a grenade went off in the 40s to damage his eye, and it damaged it enough he's wearing a patch for this issue. But starting in issue 90, he'll be back to no patch. But we know, because of what happened, the damage is done. Down the road, he'll have to wear a patch starting in 1963. So that is one of the more convoluted, ridiculous things I have ever heard. And honestly, Goose in Captain Marvel, I may not have thought it at the time, but that is way cooler than what happened here. So I feel bad for everybody that was the explanation that they gave in the story and in canon for Nick Fury's eye patch. That's it for the show. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Please, hit notifications if you want to get notified when we drop new content. In the meantime, enjoy your summer. Keep reading comics. Keep going to see movies. And be kind to each other.